Welcome to Soma. Sophie and Marianne invite you to join us in a conversation about topics interesting us and hopefully interesting you as well. Looking forward to a conversation with you all. So, are we ready?
Are we ready? Yes, we are.
Okay, deep breath.
Hi, Marianne.
Hello, Sophie. How are you?
I'm feeling much better, much better. So I had a little cold, but I'm getting over it. So that's a good thing.
That definitely is a good thing. Are you doing anything in particular to help you get over the cold?
Well, I think that rest is the best. And I think that mental rest as well. I think that the cold is taking longer for me to get over it because I have the feeling I have so much thing to do. And it's okay to let go. It's okay to just say, hey, you know what? You didn't finish this task. It will be there next week. You can drop it. And I think that for me, the hardest thing is to let go of everything I have to do so I can really, without any guilt, rest. So I suppose that for my next few days, that will be my goal of letting go.
Resting, letting go and resting. I so agree with you. Said resting and taking care of yourself is like the best way to get over any kind of disease or, not feeling well. And I think about it a lot because both of us grew up in Europe and now we live in the United States. And the work culture here is like so toxic, I feel, in many ways, so people are expected to work, work, work all the time. And you only get so many days sick leave if you even get sick leave. There are lots of jobs where you don't. People just don't have the luxury, I guess, to take care of themselves and recover. So we are
Yeah.
kind of lucky that ways that both of us can do that.
I think that sometimes even well, still I have a cold, but sometimes we have to let go of something we do for our own benefit of well-being. And sometimes we hold on stuff or activities that we do that they don't serve anymore, right? So it's yes, it might be the topic of today. How do we learn to let go of what is not serving us anymore? That's so important, right?
It's super important. And I find that I have like a super hard time with that in many ways. So I give you an example. I joined I don't know if it's called a website, a community or something, which is semi like social media platforms, like big ones like Facebook or whatever. Only is that it's based on cryptocurrency. And when you post, you can earn some money, not very much for most people, but it's that idea. I joined it quite a few years ago. Anytime you go onto a platform, you kind of find your tribe, I guess. So at the time I was writing a lot and really interested in writing, and I had taken classes. One of the activities I really enjoy, it's called free writing. If you're not familiar with that, basically what you do, you get a prompt, any prompt, and set a timer for 3 or 5 minutes, like a relatively short time. And then you write without stopping. So you just write, 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 write. Even if you write, this is such a stupid prompt, I don't know what to say, it's fine. And as you keep going, suddenly stuff pops up. And the idea is that you quiet the inner critic and just kind of tap into your subconsciousness, which the inner critic is we probably will talk about a lot because I think it's there and it's really hindering us a lot in life. So, anyways, I started it. Pretty soon, I created a community around that, and there were sometimes hundreds of people writing and created a place for people to come together. We would do fun contests where you have a prompt and you write a story and then do a photo which has something to do with that prompt. So to be silly at times, or, just a lot of fun things. And a lot of things happened which kind of broke up the community. Partly it was said people, like, we developed a contest. You would start writing on a prompt and then somebody else would finish your story. Then somebody decided to use that as their own, kind of like taking away people from our original group. And so people were fighting and calling each other's names. And then they decided not to participate anymore. And I was just, okay, I already put so much energy into it. I'm going to keep building it. And then some of the very supportive people ended up dying. And I think you find it a lot in online communities that people are very active, which have some kind of disease or handicap, which keeps them from doing other things, which is sad. Anyway, so a couple of the very supportive people died. As time went by, it became more and more a duty for me because I knew I could support people in countries where $1 a day makes a big difference. And I don't want to go into all the technicalities, how it works. So I kind of felt obligated to keep doing this. I had done over 2,000 days of daily giving a prompt and supporting people. And the joy had gone out of it quite a while ago. But I felt I needed to keep going because there were so many people waiting for the prompt. And there were people which, because of that free writing exercise, ended up writing books and publishing books. It made me proud that I was able to help to facilitate that. But at the same time, it also gave me that feeling, well, I can do it. I really should keep going. Even so, I didn't enjoy it anymore. And it took me a long, long time to let go. And I finally did. I think after our last conversation about death and dying and kind of really looking at life is, how do you say, is it finite? So it stops at one point. It doesn't go on forever. We really have to choose what we want to do, what brings us fulfillment and happiness. And so I thought about it. I really have a hard time with letting go of things which don't serve me anymore. I don't know if it's partly my Germanness. You grew up and you got a job and then you did that until your end of your life and then you die. If it's just, me, or said most people have a hard time letting go of things because it has become familiar. I don't know.
I am curious about something. I don't remember who said that, but usually it takes a very long time to take a decision. But when you take the decision, it's 1 second, right? So it took you a certain time to understand that you had no fun anymore, that it was kind of more of a burden than a joy. And so you finally took the decision of leaving the work to someone else who could take over your work. How do you feel now?
Oh, I feel very happy that I did it. You're right. Once I made the decision, I immediately reached out to somebody I knew who might be interested. I got an answer back within hours, and within 2 or 3 days, we had made the transition. It's definitely something about clarity. I don't know. Do you remember The Secret, that thing everybody was talking about? And really what I got out of that is that you need to have clarity about what you want to do and where you want to go. And then you can implement all the action steps which take you there. Yeah. But if you don't know, then you don't go anywhere. No, so that's definitely true. Said if you have clarity about what you want to manifest, it goes fast. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's so interesting. Yeah, because sometimes we wish that we want, so with, I'm going to create this thing or whatever it might be. But somehow, if we are not really clear how we want it, the shape we want it, the color we want it, then somehow we have a hard time to reach it. And when it happens to me that sometimes I have projects, I want to build a community of people who are like-minded as taking care of themselves, loving each other, sharing love and spread love around them. But at the same time, I don't know where to go.
Yeah.
So I don't go nowhere, you know.
Well, I think sometimes it is not knowing what steps to take, and that takes a while to figure out what do we need to do. And sometimes well, I think for me, sometimes I'm not clear if what I say or even what I think I want to do is truly what I want to do on my gut level, so that it just comes from my very core, this is what I want to do, or if it's what I perceive is the right thing to do. So therefore, I think I want to do it, but it's not driven by my passion, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's definitely something I have been looking at for a long time. Do I really want to do that? Or do I think I should do it? And therefore, I'm pretending I want to do it, even to myself, pretending,
Yeah, and I think it's a very, very important question. It goes beyond, and I think it goes also with when you were talking about it's hard to let go,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because we have the idea that we should do that.
Mm-hmm.
Somehow, when you were explaining that you were not enjoying yourself writing the prompt every day, so at some point you say, oh, I should do it. Why? Because I do that for 5 years, so I have to continue.
Right.
But then comes the question, is it true? Is it true that I have to continue to write my prompt every single day? Is it really true? And how does it make me feel? And then when we answer all those questions, then we realize that sometimes, oh yeah, I want to continue. Oh, you know what? I don't know. I don't have to,
Yeah.
right? When you say that you have a hard time to let go, is it coming because you are German? I don't know. I think it happened to everyone. Because in any kind of society that we are in France, Germany, or United States, we have the weight of the society who is dictating what we have to do, what we have to think, or whatever. When I grew up, I knew that I would get married and I knew I would have children because it was expecting from a woman
Right.
to get married and have children.
Yeah.
Well, guess when I was 15 years old, I didn't want to have any child. I said to my parents, I never will have a child. When I met my husband and then we were together, I was feeling that being together, I wanted to create something. I wanted to create a life. So it's how I changed my mind and I decided that I wanted to have a child. But my point is that sometimes we have a hard time to let go because the pressure of the society is so heavy on our shoulders.
Yeah.
Right.
But the reason I say maybe it's because I'm German, I give you an example. So I homeschooled my children, right? And my oldest son basically never, he went to school a couple of times. He joined a public school homeschooling program in 6th grade because they in San Diego have a thing called 6th grade camp. So you get to go camping for a week, and he wanted to do that. So we joined the program for a year. And then he was for a little while in an alternative type high school, which was founded by two homeschooling parents, which also happened to be teachers. They figured at high school time, it's good to have like some other resources like labs and stuff like that. So they created a charter school, which was a couple of days in school, couple or 3 days, depending on what kind of classes the kids would take, and the rest work at home with kind of a emphasis on college prep. And my daughter went there for the full 4 years of high school. And my oldest son, I think he went to half a year. And he is very successful in business. So my daughter was homeschooled until she went to high school. And then my youngest son, he went to school in third grade. That's when I was divorced from their dad, and homeschooling became a big issue between us. So he ended up going to school. And so to me, that was quite a long time. And my German sister-in-law, at one point, she was mad at me and she was like, well, you never finish anything, even like you said, you're homeschooling and you didn't finish that. And then I would be around Americans which say, oh, I'm homeschooling. Yeah, when the kids have school break, I'm homeschooling, right? Which is like, no, your kids are going to school and you're just, whatever. But this complete different attitude about, oh, I do this for 3 months. So I give myself that label and I say, yes, I'm part of this community and I have this accomplishment. But here I had done it for years and years and years. And in the German mind, it was like, well, you didn't finish, you didn't do it, So that's why I'm saying, so maybe my hesitance of stopping things comes kind of from the idea is that if you start some, you have to finish it, instead of the idea that's some I really love about the American attitude. It's like, oh, let me try this and see if I like it. And if I don't like it, I drop it again, which is very freeing, allows you to explore a lot of different things. If it's not like, oh, you have to be perfect with it, and then you have to keep going forever and ever.
I understand what you are saying, because in France, it might be a little similar that in Germany, but when in France you go to school, let's say you learn to be a nurse, then you want to be a nurse all your entire life.
Right.
And if at mid, you are a nurse for 10, 15 years and say, well, you know what, I'm not enjoying myself anymore. Now I would like to be, I don't know, a baker,
Mm-hmm.
Well, in France, it's really, people look at you weird. You cannot change career because you learn to be a nurse. So you have to be a nurse all your life. And when we moved to United States, and I was talking with friends, and they are saying, oh, yes, I had my own business for 10 years, but now I would like to be a nurse. I'm go back to school, and in 2 years, I will be a nurse, and I will do that. And I was thinking, wow. And no one here thinks that you are weird. No one here thinks that, oh, you didn't finish something. You go with the flow and you are attentive of what you want to do. And I think, I understand what you mean now by the pressure of the way we grew up. That,
I feel here it's more an asset. The more you know, it can have a negative aspect that if you do a lot of things, you might never be an expert in anything, not like the Japanese, which say you have to have done something for 20,000 hours before you can be considered less than an apprentice. And that kind of perfection definitely does not speak to me. But like subconscious, we drink in so many attitudes and ideas as children without even knowing that it's there. A lot of that self-judgment and inner critic and stuff like that, I'm sure comes from not our consciousness, but from our subconscious, I don't know how to say, estimation, judgment, thinking that's how it has to be. Yeah.
So that's very interesting. So it brings me to the conversation that I had yesterday. I meet a group of people and we meditate once a week. And every month we choose a topic. So we move from one topic to the other. So this month, the topic is death. And we find a quote, we meditate on the quote, and then we share our thought about that. That was so interesting yesterday because there is 4 of us. And so we had a different approach regarding death. My reflection was more about my physical death. Some other was about the emotional death and rebirth of something. So, but what we had in common, all of us, is that if we want to have a peaceful death, it's important to be mindful in our daily life.
Mm-hmm.
And I like that a lot because it's really come back to the idea that it's not because you learn to be a nurse when you graduate from school when you were 20 years old, that you have to be a nurse all your life. It's at some point, being a nurse doesn't nourish your soul. Then maybe it's time to learn something else and be mindful of it. So yeah, I think that just to finish on the thought is that it's important to be in harmony within. Yeah.
It's funny how sometimes like the same subject comes up over and over, and then it doesn't again, So said you had this meditation yesterday, basically dealing with what we're talking about today. That's kind of cool.
Yeah, that's interesting, right? So,
Mm.
learning to let go when it doesn't serve us, it's an important skill.
Yeah. And I think probably one we have to keep learning and reminding ourselves, like with so many skills, if we don't practice, we fall back into old patterns. So, anyways, I was very proud of myself. Said after all this time and thinking back and forth, I just made the decision and did it. It was in a very short time. I found a friend to want to take over, formed everyone, and now I don't feel that I have to go and be present at a certain time every day. Yeah.
And it probably free your mind for new projects.
Oh, absolutely. So it probably frees my mind to work more on our podcast and do
There
stuff
you
like that.
go.
Yeah, for sure. Well, do you have something else you want to talk about today, or
No, I
are
think
we
that
are we good?
I'm good about that. I think that it's something to think about.
Hmm.
So the conversation, I need to really reflect on it to remind myself, what is it in my life that doesn't serve me now? What is it that I want to let go? And it might be afraid of let go on some stuff, but
Hmm.
I have to be brave enough.
Yeah, yeah. Definitely. I mean, that might be a good exercise to write things down, which might not surface anymore, including self-image or clothing style or whatever it is. It doesn't just have to be actions,
Yeah.
or activities we're doing.
Yeah.
So maybe that can be our homework. To reflect on how are we showing up in the world right now, and what do we like about how we show up and what do we not like about it.
Yeah, if there is a little, I don't know if it's an exercise or anything, but on a very regular basis, I look in my house and sometimes you receive a present, a little object, or you receive clothes, or you buy clothes, and on a regular basis, I look at that and I feel it's overwhelming for me when there is too much stuff in my house. So on very regular basis, I say, this piece of furniture, I don't want it anymore. I'm just going to donate it. I go in my closet and say, this piece of clothes, I didn't wear it in 3 years. Will I wear it this year? Probably not. I'm going to donate it. And every single time I do that, I feel so much better. So
Good for you. Good for you. I definitely have a hard time with a lot of it, partly from a sustainability background. Just listened to a podcast yesterday where they were talking about that we have enough new clothing produced right now, ready, it's done to close the next 6 generations. population on the earth. So there's just so much excess and so much stuff out there. And I know when you donate things to a thrift store, oftentimes it gets thrown away or it gets flooded into, let's say, like third world countries, or I mean, that's a bad word, third world countries. It's very judgmental. So countries where there's less wealth than there is in the Western world. And part of that influx of cheaply made Western style clothes is killing the industries. They had like the smaller industries of clothes making there. So it has also this huge impact. So I kind of have this, and again, that's probably something I have to like go to, is like either I want to find somebody directly who I know can use the item to give it to ensure it at least gets another usage before it ends up straight in the landfill, or wear it until it falls apart, because I have a lot of guilt in my life. I have a lot of guilt about, participating in basically the destruction of the earth as I see it. So, but that's a whole nother topic.
So just to wrap up the conversation about today, I think that when we learn to let go of what is not serving us, we become mindful in our own life, and we can make decisions that are going to create happiness for ourselves. So kind of.
Sounds good.
Okay, have a great day.
You too. Thank you so much for sharing your precious time with us. We love to have a conversation with you, and there are several places you can reach us. One is Instagram, Explore Summer Podcast. That's mostly Marianne speaking to you there. On Facebook, there's a page, also Explore Summer Podcast, and Sophie is the one talking to you there. And then we have a Patreon account, Explore Soma Podcast, and both of us are hopping in and out, and we are really trying to build communities there. If you want to join us, we would love it. And of course, you can support us there, but you can also be there and be part of the conversation. If there is no money in your pocket to spare, we totally get that. Believe us, we have been there. Thank you so much. Take care until we meet again.